Hello, B3. It's great to see you again back here in the old business and marketing classroom. I am your host, Miss J, and away we go. Listen, if you tuned in last week to our episode of business and marketing in the classroom, what did I just call it? I'm not really sure. You know that we started our final project, because we're getting pretty close towards the end. So, I did a pretty lengthy video last week discussing all the requirements of the project, but I wanted to just kind of dig in today based on what's due this week. So, if you all are looking in Schoology in your e-learning folder, for each week, I've posted your assignment in there. So you can open that and do Friday, May 8th as questions 3, 4, and 5. So we're going to look at those ones today, and I'm going to give you guys some hints on where you can find that stuff. Remembering that all of these that you're turning in week by week to earn points for your project, this is kind of your rough draft. It can be in bullet point form. It doesn't need to be the most perfect version because you're going to do that for your final draft that's due on Friday, May 22nd. So what you guys are just turning in right now is you're showing me that you're putting in the work, you're doing the research, and you're not waiting till the last minute to do all of this because you know what, might as well get it done early and start summer early. That's what I say. I'm going to flip back over here to your final project requirements. So last week you guys did the name of your company and the mission statement, which should have been pretty darn easy to find. And number 2, the history of the company. So just kind of giving us a timeline of how they started to where they're at today. Now, this week you guys are working on 3, 4, and 5, and the first 2 are focused on ethics. So we've talked about ethics in a number of ways in class. We discussed what was ethical during when we were learning about economies. If you guys remember the island activity that we did, some of the decisions you were making, we discussed if it was ethical to handle it in a certain way. Number 2, we also did that. It was the Undercover Boss episode with Chiquita Banana, and we talked about a little bit of ethics there when at the very end they talk about how they treated like these 5 employees, I think it was 4 or 5 employees, paying for, college for them or paying for certain things to give them like incentive. We discussed, is that ethical? Is it not ethical? What's great about that? What's not? Most recently, we discussed ethics a little bit with our HR case study that we did, the human resources case study on how to handle the issue with Mr. Peterson and the other gentleman in the break room when they had a little bit of a scuffle. So we've discussed it a lot, right versus wrong. And it's not always black and white, we've learned. So you guys are looking for, in number 3, you're going to show at least one example that shows what you consider to be a good ethical decision this company has made in the past or is in the process of making. I also mentioned in last week's video, based on the current economy, the pandemic, that a lot of companies are making some really good choices, like giving back to people, giving away things free to like first responders. There's also some people that are kind of making some like iffy, shady choices on what they're doing. So you guys are going to pick one good ethical decision you think the company's made. And then you're also for number 4. Yes, baby.
Are you recording?
Yeah, I'm recording right now.
When you're done recording, can you tell me when it's time to watch it? And I'll come up here and watch it.
Sure, I'll let you know. Okay, love you. Okay, number 4 is when you guys are giving an example of a poor ethical decision that the company has made. It doesn't have to be like a huge monumental issue, something that like changed the course of their history, but just something that they've done that maybe could be perceived as a poor ethical decision. Now, to find this information for the good ethical decision and the poor ethical decision, the easiest place to find it is probably not the company website. There's not many companies that like on their main page is like, look at this great decision we made, and also look at this other one that we made. This was kind of a poor choice. Oopsie. You probably want to look more for news articles in this aspect. I'm not saying that you can't find good stuff. Like for instance, Target gives 5% back to the like local communities for for every dollar that's spent, 5% of it goes back into, like here, Colorado Springs. Like that's a great decision. And they boast about that on their website. But as far as like the poor ethical decision, you're probably going to have to dig a little bit more into like news articles. Now, number 5 is about their marketing. And that is something that you could probably get a little bit from their website. You're also going to want to look at their social media presence, maybe even pull up some of their commercials on YouTube if they have commercials, like some of their print ads. And this would be appropriate in your paper to actually put a small example in there. So you could do that. You could screenshot a small example and include it, and then wrap your text around it. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get closer to your final draft. So these are the 3 things that are due this Friday. So I don't think it will take you too long to do the research and then to just write this up. Again, you guys, we're talking rough draft here. So we're just kind of getting our ideas out on these 3 things. As always, if you have questions, thoughts, concerns, shoot me a message, email me. I am obviously home with my 2 kiddos, so I'm balancing a little bit of e-learning with my 10-year-old, and then Frankie Joe is just, destroying the house, which is his job. He's 4. So, but I am pretty quick at responding to emails. Just so you guys know, I normally stop for the day around 4 o'clock. So if you email me past 4 o'clock, you'll have to wait till the next morning for me to respond. Like I said, I miss you guys. Questions, send them my way. Okay, talk to you soon. Peace. Sorry I did that.